priorities more than how they spend their time. And since the events of the 7th of August, nothing has been more important than standing up for the state of Israel and standing up against violence and against extremism. Evil met with weakness encourages evil, and we must be resolute in our expectation, our demand, that the Australian government reflect our values in its foreign policy, and particularly in regards to this particular situation, crisis in the Middle East. As tragic as the events have been, they have given us the opportunity to see with the greatest of clarity those that will stand up and defend correctness and those that will make excuses for violence and extremism. And if Australia is meant to maintain its very, very high record in defending international human rights, then the Australian government should show no excuse but to absolutely, unconditionally support the state of Israel to its self-defence. And standing here today as we do, in the heart of Perth, we are standing also with many thousands of people in Sydney, in Melbourne, in other places, who are saying to the Australian government, this is not the time, this is not the issue on which to establish excuses or to weaken our very, very strong commitment to human rights and the expulsion of terrorism from the world. Because visibility matters. Visibility matters. And when we're visible, we create awareness, we correct untruths, and we establish a greater understanding of the moral truth that is at the core of this dispute. And Australia has an obligation to say to the Arab nations, it is your responsibility to do more in regards to the humanitarian issue. It is not the responsibility of those others who seek to protect themselves and their people from violence and from terrorism. I want to end with a quote. And that quote was a quote that was drawn to me many, many years ago. It's a quote that sits in my Parliament House office in Canberra, and it sits pride of place, because often in life we want to find that middle path. We want to find that path that is the least offensive, that is the most agreeable. But often in life those paths do not exist. So I want to share with you a very important quote from Elie Wiesel, the Nobel laureate, also a Holocaust survivor. He said, "We must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim." Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. Sometimes we must interfere. For a long time, we have lived in the great expectation that the events of the 1930s and the 1940s were behind us, that the sentiments, the things lurking in our community that gave rise to those atrocities were gone, had been extinguished. Unfortunately, that is not true. That is not true. And we must use this event as an opportunity to remind people that always these things are lurking, they're present, and we must always stand up against them and we must always take sides. Thank you very much.